What's up friends, this is Manni and welcome to the full review to the new heavy fighter Shiv, one of the best price performance ratios that starcitizen has seen in a long time. So this full review here will go into detail about the stats, the prices and comparing it to other ships, highlighting why this is such a great price performance ratio. We're also gonna look at other ships of the same categories and see what they cost and deliver. And we will see PvE and PvP dogfighting gameplay versus an F8C Lightning as a close heavy fighter competitor, and the Esperia Glaive. And of course my honest Shiv ship feedback at the end of this video. And by the way, if you like to stay tuned on everything starcitizen and you may appreciate the way how my reviews are very thorough, then stay tuned, subscribe and be there for the next videos. Also, there's going to be a $50 gift card giveaway very soon, and not just one, multiple times in a row. Alright, so let's go into the first part of this video. As a very rare exception, this time I'm showing you the price performance ratio and the stats of the Shiv before we have the ship tour, because you need to know how much you're getting with this ship compared to other ships in the game. With a ship price of currently under discount $135, okay, without taxes, you get a ship that has 32 SCU on-grid cargo capacity, and a huge interior that can be used to transport teammates and do multi-crew stuff. Alright, off-grid you can probably fit 60 SCU or maybe even 80 in there. I haven't tested it, but there's much more room. You have 34,000 HP, and it is a heavy fighter. Now let us compare this, a ship for $135 with these designations, against an F8C Lightning. The F8C Lightning is a heavy fighter as well. It costs, I believe, $300, so more than twice the price, okay? You have zero cargo, no interior, you won't be transporting any teammates, getting them from somewhere from A to B, or, having multi-crew gameplay. You have zero cargo capacity, slightly more HP, and 2 shield generators instead of 1. Okay, but here comes the kicker, and you'll see this later in the PvP encounter between my friend in the F8C and me in the Shiv. I wiped the floor with him because his mobility on the F8C is lower. You see 38, 35, 120 degrees per second. Shiv, 50, 42, 137. Again, also designated heavy fighter, with cargo and interior and everything, being much faster in pitch, yaw and roll. And now let's have a look at the firepower. Since you control, as the pilot, the main guns, the double-size force, plus the Hurricane turret that used to be on the Hurricane, also a quad-size 3 turret, as well as a remote turret, you control that too. You gain in the default configuration, doesn't matter, in the meta configuration with attrition and salvaged ardor repeaters, maximum DPS, you have 3,700 damage per second. Let's see what the heavy fighter F8C for more than $300 gets. 3,600 DPS. So you have 100 DPS even more than the slower, less mobile heavy fighter without interior. It makes no sense to me, but you really get a lot with the Shiv. Now let's have a tiny look at the other ships in comparison. F7A Hornet Mark II, the military variant, gets to 3,100 DPS in full meta max DPS attrition build. And again, the Shiv, 3,700 DPS, because you control the main guns plus the remote turret. Or your friend could sit in the remote turret and shoot backwards with 2,230 DPS, right? So there are more options here on the Shiv. And the Meteor, which is a medium fighter, is an exception here. It has 5,000 DPS because it has the Leonid's bespoke projectile cannons on there that have only 840 meters per second projectile speed, but when they hit, dude, they slap. So this thing is the only ship that has more DPS, but this thing costs $260. Okay, so the Shiv costs $135 currently on discount and $150 without the discount. and no taxes. Okay, so let's just be realistic here. Also, no cargo on the Meteor, and then we have the a stealth variant, and I realized we can even build the Shiv in a stealth mode, and when you do, you can have the Obscura Stealth Shield, the Cirrus Stealth Power Plant, the Icebox Cooler, all of which you can just buy in the game. I've made sure to select items that you can just buy, and the Bolt Quantum Drive, also a stealth. We get to Heat Signature or IR of 8,500, EM Signature 6,000, which is really low, and even the cross section is actually really low with 10,000. Let's have a look at the F8C. The F8 has 11,000 cross-section, and it cannot get, from what I gather, EM and ER even remotely as down as the Shiv can. I haven't done it though, the calculation. The Meteor has 14,000. The F7 with a medium fighter having 9, a little less. But this shows you that you can equip this ship as a stealth ship, have the full DPS still available to you, with a bit less shielding and so on, but still, you're going to be showing up much later on the enemy radars, so you can get in, get out without being seen in some situations, or surprise enemies by appearing at 3.5, 4 kilometers next to them when they start to see your marker pop up, right? Maybe 4.5, it's important, it's a little difficult to guess. But yeah, so let me just tell you this much here at the end of the stats and the price performance ratio. For $135 currently, you get an absurd amount of performance that is really rare in the game, and it really is a great daily driver, I think, for anybody starting out. And again, I will make a video where I show you a starter guide, what game packages are currently really worth it, which is the Avenger Titan, and I'm going to make giveaways for gift cards of $50. With the starter pack and the gift card, you almost get to the Shiv, which means you can almost start out this way, okay? Just as a little extra idea here right now. So yeah, for the moment, let's go into the ship tour finally. All right, so while I was getting closer to the ship to do the ship tour, which by the way my friends have prepared, I heard things like giggling in the Discord. I don't know what to make of it, but something, they apparently prepared something for us. But yeah, so first we're walking around the ship and you see this thing really looks kind of ugly, actually. There's all kinds of pipes and scaffolding hanging outside, and I don't know, it just doesn't look refined or finished in any way, right? It looks like it's just got mashed together by all kinds of different things, and that's exactly what happened. It has the frontal thrusters there from another ship. The VTOL thrusters are from the Valkyrie, I believe. It has the overall chassis of the Cutlass Black, and it has the quad size 3 remote turret, or it used to be a man turret, of the Hurricane here in form of a remote turret, and so on. So it's an extremely odd ship design. Also different levers. You see there's levers instead of buttons, which is more like on the Corsair you can find it, although they also have buttons. And yeah, so there's a little bit of a big box here showing how much loot you could technically get inside here. That's an 8 SCU box. How many of those could you fit inside the back of this ship? Probably like 15 on... Wait a minute, what's this? Oh my goodness, friends, what are you doing here? Oh no, why are we looking at this? I would say... Oh no, let's get out of here, man. That can't be. I would say take a room, you two, but I guess you did that, and we were the ones intruding here. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. I guess that's the giggling that I've heard in the Discord. So I'm just gonna say no, 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 and that was my reaction to it. All right, so taking the pillow and having cleared and killed everything on this bed. No, I'm joking. I didn't kill anybody, but I took the pillow. We're going inside here, and by the way, they prepared even this. I thought this chair belongs here. It says Polaris in there, but seeing how everything is like thrown together to design this ship, there may as well be a Polaris chair inside the middle here, right? And the way they put it here, it looks like it belongs there. But this was something that my friends put here. This thing does not belong into the Shiv. There are some weapons racks here. You have the engineering console. You have some bunk beds, 2 of them. And you have... Well, you have a toilet here. Yeah, very comfortable, as you can see, very much so. I still have that pillow in my hand, it looks like. By the way, above us is where the Cutlass Black had the manned turret, but the the Shiv has this as an upgraded turret because it's a remote turret. Yeah, they're removing the chair now. It's a remote turret, which means you have control over it even as the pilot, which is just insane. That's the reason why the ship gets so much firepower. You also have a pilot and a co-pilot seat here, and the co-pilot can, of course, take control of that remote turret and shoot backwards, for example, or left and right, and defend yourself while you're flying, right? Which is more effective than you just firing forward, but you can fire forward with all of those weapons. 2 size 4s and 4 size 3s on this thing. More firepower than an F7A, more firepower than an F8C Lightning, that is also a heavy fighter. As I've said, even though they don't have the mobility of this ship somehow, despite being smaller, like the F8C, and also not having an interior and no cargo, right? So, yeah, but twice the shield energy, though. So you see we're firing with 6 weapons simultaneously, and these built-in projectile guns have a high projectile speed of somewhere around 1,500 meters per second, those breakneck they're called, and I believe they bring around 3,500 projectile shots per magazine or clip. Okay, so it is a lot of bullets, and you can do a lot of damage before you run out of ammo, and that's good for bespoke weapons. It is a weapon that came with the ship, but this weapon can be changed. You can swap these guns for any other weapon that you want, even though it comes with bespoke weapons, or at least special edition weapons that it only has. Okay, so let's hop into PvE gameplay first. We have, I think, a Rayland or whatever the thing is called, this little slim thing, and we have a scythe, a Vandul scythe here that we're firing at, and this thing is taking a lot of damage, and it's surprisingly sturdy, because remember, we have a really high amount of firepower, even though the default setup, and this is something I didn't say too much before when we have the stats, the default loadout has basically sacrifices damage output for faster projectiles that hit more reliably. So we're good at scoring hits even against this tiny, fast little fighter, but our damage output is not extremely impressive in this default loadout that we're using right now. If we were to swap it out for attritions and other salvaged repeaters, which are also attrition size 3, then that would be absolutely ridiculous. We would just hit the enemy for like 3 seconds and they're done. Okay, here I was doing a little bit of a boarding mission just to show that you can do all kinds of gameplay with this ship. It is really the definition of a daily driver. Cargo, interior, firepower, well, and halfway acceptable shielding. Not great for the size of the ship, but not terrible either. A decent mobility, decent range. There's pretty much everything okay. And I was just gonna finish this part of the mission when my friend here, who was with me, killed some, I don't know, someone he should not have killed on this ship, and so my mission got failed. Alright, and here we are in one of my most important things that I do in all of my ship reviews, because I always want to go the extra mile for you and make it as complete as possible. And that also includes showing you all the alternatives, right? Maybe you don't like the looks of this ship, but you want something like that, or you want to just compare and see what you get in other areas of the game. And the Shiv, and I'm sorry they didn't have the model of the Shiv here in the hangar link, so just imagine this is the Shiv symbol model, okay? Costs $150, regular price currently $135 as the discount, all right? Then we have next to that the Cutlass Black that has basically the same model, pretty much the same interior with a few exceptions, but you do not have as much firepower because you do not control this turret as a pilot, because it's a manned turret in the Cutlass Black, whereas in the Shiv, that's slightly more expensive, it is a remote turret and you have control over it as the pilot as well. And also the 2 size 4s on the side. It has slightly different model, but the Cutlass Black is basically an inferior version to the Shiv, but it is also a little less expensive. So it's $15 no, $25 less than the Shiv, but you get significantly much more with the Shiv, and in my opinion, it is the winner between the two. Okay. And then we have the other competitor that comes very close to the Shiv, the C1 Spirit, okay? You have a large interior cargo. You can store 64 SCU on grid. It is a beautiful ship, a little bigger, also the same shield capacity, and it costs $10 less than the currently on sale Shiv. Later, with the regular price of 150, maybe the difference is going to be bigger. But right now, the Shiv is a monstrous winner over the C1 in how daily driver usable it is, okay? And how good. Although the C1 is a great daily driver, don't get me wrong, even for its price tag. But the Shiv currently really beats it. This one only has 4 times size 3, I believe, as the main armaments, and a fraction of the firepower of the Shiv, okay? Because it brings 2 times size 4 on top of that. And you can swap it. Then we have the Taurus. The Taurus is always the best price-performance ratio. Nothing beats the Taurus. Not even the Shiv. No chance. Not even the Shiv under whatever powerful discounts. No way. You can't beat the Taurus because you have 4 times size 5 guns. You have 174 SCU on cargo grids capacity and 220 or more that you can overload. 4 crew size, you have full multi-crew capacities, 3, 4, 5 times the shield capacity. Absolutely uncomparable. For these $65 more, you get 300% more, okay? So nothing beats the Taurus in terms of price-performance ratio. Just keep that in mind. And it's available pretty much all the time throughout the year, so really the thing to go for in my opinion. But then we have the Corsair being the next daily driver that also falls into a similar category, however a bigger sort of category, that is also a significantly much more expensive and less price-performance ratio than the Taurus, although very similar in its playstyle, and I have to list it here. But since we're talking heavy fighter, obviously, I have to have the Guardian in there with an interior but no cargo, right? $250, $135. The Guardians, both of them have less firepower than the Shiv. More shield on the Guardian MX or the same shielding on the regular Guardian. Mobility-wise, I believe they're both worse as well. So heavy fighter-wise, the Shiv wins over the way more expensive Guardians, despite having cargo and more mobility. It's crazy. Then we have the Meteor also as a medium fighter that I've shown you with $260. We already spoke about it. And the F8C Lightning for $300. That is a massive loser across versus the Shiv in many regards. Yeah, it costs more than twice as much. It's absolutely unreal. And then we have the Stinger, the new heavy fighter that is from the Vandul/Esperia clan or producer. $315, I believe, $290 currently on discount as it's also a new ship. But heavy fighter-wise, it might be better than the F8C Lightning. It might be similar in the same ballpark as the Meteor when it comes to firepower, but with more shielding. Same shielding as a real heavy fighter F8C. Great ship, by the way, but twice as expensive as the Shiv, and even between those two, the Shiv wins. So yeah, let's go into PvP combat, my friends. All right, and one thing I have to say first, I'm not fighting the best pilots here, okay? Those are my friends, and they're not terrible, but they're not ace pilots in PvP combat, and I am very well on him with my aim. And the F8C lost its shielding near instantly. It also dropped my shield down below, but the way I'm hitting with this superior firepower also results in a very fast kill of this F8C. And if you, soft death now by the way, but if you look back on the gameplay, you'll see every time we shot past each other and we were trying to get each other back into aim, the Shiv was able to do it faster than the F8C every single time, because it's simply more maneuverable than the F8C, which is just so sad for the F8C to be this bad at it, okay? Yeah, now we have a Esperia Glaive here, my friend, also, and he's even less of a dogfighter. Also, let's be real, the Glaive is really not a good PvP dogfighting ship. Its projectiles it's firing are way too slow, and the way the pips work, and the different weapons assist each other is just terrible. Also, the ship is way too large. It has a ridiculously oversized hitbox for what it offers as a heavy fighter, right? And now that I've noticed that he hasn't even scratched my shield at this point, I just basically stopped fighting him. All right, I just fired 2 more shots. He's completely red. 3 more hits and he's gone. So I decided to stop firing, and yeah, he also stopped right there and came back into my ship. But just have a look at the insane size of the Vandul or slash Esperia glaive. Dude, this ship is basically the same silhouette size of the Shiv. A ship with internal, corridors and toilets and beds and cargo capacity. Of course, the Shiv has more volume altogether. It's filling the blanks inside, but the general maximum shape and silhouette size, it's actually rather close. So the glaive is really, really bad at doing this sort of PvP. Listen to the sound, by the way. The sound team has really outdone themselves in the 4.3.2 update, my friends. The way the Esperia sounds, the Stinger, the way the Shiv sounds, it sounds like everything is falling apart on this ship. After a jump point here, it is really a good sound that you're hearing. At the same time, it makes me a little worried because it seems like the ship is falling apart any moment now. But yeah, so overall, ladies and gentlemen, and this is me coming back to my honest conclusion for this ship. For $135 at the moment or $150 later without discount, you're getting a tremendous performance. Highest level firepower for any heavy fighter, while at the same time kind of being a daily driver slash fighter, right? That can do pretty much any game loop up to a certain point. Exactly what a daily driver is supposed to be. Great mobility, even higher than the one of other heavy fighters, which I could see being nerfed in the future, by the way. I'm just putting this out there now, not to have anybody surprised if that ever happens. And don't worry, CIG certainly doesn't nerf things because I, as a small channel, say something like this, okay? I read comments like this. No, it's not happening. But yeah, so for the price-performance ratio, there's only one ship really that beats it, and that's the Taurus, because this one just can't be beaten in any way when it comes to price-performance ratio. And this could be a ship that you can upgrade to from the Shiv, because the Taurus is going to be an upgrade in every single way towards the Shiv and only costs $65 up price, okay? So keep that in mind. But also remember, please, that the Shiv is going to be a great starting ship. If you take a starter game package and you upgrade to it, for example, with a $50 gift card that a YouTuber that you may know is going to send to you, then this is basically the perfect daily driver starting ship for you, Shiv. Yeah, so just so you know, right? And if you enjoy the full honest review here and how complete I always try to do things, please stay tuned for on the channel, and I hopefully see you in the next video, my friends. See you around, have a good one, and Manni signing off. Bye-bye.